Do we have Sky News with us?
Yes, you do. Thank you very much for taking my question. Russia's defense secretary has said that Vladimir Putin has gone full tonto, that is English slang for completely mad. Certainly that's the view of many people looking at this. He's launched an unprovoked attack on his southern neighbour that is killing a lot of Ukrainian cousins of Russia and Russian soldiers. What's your reaction to that description of his action?
Well, you know, it's surprising that such evaluations are given by Defense Minister of the UK regarding authorities of a different state. I think he could have thought up of similar adjectives thinking of British Prime Minister, if we talk about personal judgment, and if we talk about the operation and that there are people dying, then yes, unfortunately, this is a huge tragedy that there is a need to resort to such methods. And this is exactly what was talked about during 8 years of our policy, of our efforts, our work 24/7. That's what it took to demonstrate that the peaceful resolution of this high-tension conflict, which in 2015 was already a bloodbath, a priority problem, that any other scenario other than dialogue is tragic in its nature and should be avoided. And could you please say how many years must it have taken, have this bloodshed gone on in eastern Ukraine? 5, 10 years? Why did you start counting victims only today, or say yesterday? Who gave you the right to ignore victims, especially that we were talking about thousands of them over all these years? Isn't your conscience tormenting you when you Western journalists speculating on Minsk agreements and Russia never mentioned that in the Eastern Ukraine, in Donetsk and Luhansk Republic, the peaceful citizens losing lives every day, you never counted them, just like President Zelensky never considered them people. Who gave you the right to speak of the victims starting only today? If that's the way you create your reports, if that's your approach to it, you are not journalists and you're not people. 13,000 people, and I am not dividing them, although in all honesty I would very much like to, and maybe should have, in those who shot first, in those who were members of Ukrainian military men or their regular army and nationalist battalions, which then became part of the armed forces. I do not divide them from civilians and from the people which you call militias, separatists, and which we say are self-defending. All in all, according to OSCE, 13,000 people died, and OSCE had no opportunity to account for every victim. It's only their primary analysis. Where were you? Why didn't you ask these questions in Kiev? Why didn't you broadcast people in Donbass? Why did you give them no opportunity to attend international organizations meetings or join in online? You have no conscience at all. Maybe you should first calculate the number of the people which died at the hands of the British authorities in Iraq. How many people died there on the orders of Downing Street? How many civilians died? And how many British military men died? Would you like to talk about Afghanistan? Because it's well time for that. So before you judge others, start with yourself. And if you talk about the situation in Ukraine and the actions of Russia in protecting peaceful citizens of Donbass, you shouldn't start counting with February 2022. This history is many years old. At least you should start with 2013. And the last thing I would like to say, you'd like to count the citizens which died. Did you count the people that died on Maidan in 2013, 2014? How many people died? How many people were killed by snipers? How many law enforcement people died? How many people were killed with stones? Have you ever reported on that? At least once during those years. So it's not for you to say that there's an operation conducted. It's not a beginning of a war. It's an operation to end a war which has been going on for many years, and ignoring it and not recognizing it is just as criminal as servicing informationally Kievan regime. And I am sorry for my emotion, but this has been overdue, and we do not want to listen to and trust your mass media. We will respond to your questions, but such starting points and such approaches are unacceptable, because what you do is propaganda, and it was fun with propaganda in other spheres, but when you tie it to promotion of war, which for 2 months you have been escalating, this is just inadmissible, and then you twist it all and blame the victims. I am sorry.
If I could answer any of that, please, Ms. Zakharova.
No. No.